Sarah, welcome. So excited to have you on with us.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. So I'll go ahead and give your official intro and then we'll jump right into our conversation.
Perfect.
Awesome. Sarah Cole is the founder of Right Now Enterprises, where she not only advises but rolls up her sleeves with creative and passionate entrepreneurs and business owners. In her career, she has flipped underperforming businesses, managed and operated for major premium retailers, and attained national recognition for her startup business, WeatherVane Creamery. And she is known for her tenacity, her resourcefulness, and sharing her invaluable biz hacks to scrappy entrepreneurs everywhere. So we're excited to have you on today and to kind of dig into your story a little bit. And I feel like that's where we should start is I want you to share a little bit about your experience with the creamery and the growth and the challenge, and then we can dive into our juicy stuff here.
All right, definitely. Thank you, Amy. And hi, Mom. Anyway, my mom's on today.
Love it when our moms show up to support us.
I know. I think this is the first business thing that she's been able to attend. So, yeah. Well, let me tell you a little bit. I had this wonderful adventure around 2011, 2012. My whole life got disrupted in Portland, Oregon. And I moved back to the Midwest. And my whole thing was I was going to start a coffee shop in my college town of River Falls, Wisconsin. It's the home of UW River Falls, where fun fact, got my degree in horticulture.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was making the trek back home. And when I got here, I realized that this little town already had a great coffee shop in my absence.
Mm-hmm.
And in any case, I worked on that startup. And what had me start the book, so that was in 2011, 2012, was last year. Like I had blogged during the whole time, and I had generated over 70 financial backers. I had a ton of media. And I also, so Howard Schultz of Starbucks, I pitched the business to him in Seattle. The American Cheese Society honored me for my innovative ideas in dairy retail. So it was a crazy adventure. And last year I was invited to speak to a business group of new entrepreneurs. And I thought, I think I'm ready to share this tale. And at that meeting, I made my PowerPoint and I talked about WeatherVane Creamery. And as a woman, as an entrepreneur, and also as all the things that happen in the background that people don't know about, right? Like,
Yeah.
Most of us are one person brands, and it's can be a challenge to figure out the balance between those two things. But and then around every corner of that adventure was the doors getting slammed, or now a ton of now what moments.
Mm-hmm.
And so I shared that with that group, and at the end they were just crowding me, and they were so excited to have heard that, like, a real story
Yeah.
of entrepreneurship as they're just getting started. And I realized that I had to write the book. Now I wanted to just write, like, transform the blog into a book, and spoiler alert, the creamery never happened. I had to shelve the project. But then I got a writing coach, and they said, Sarah, a blog is not a book. So this year I started writing the book about that's called Follow Your Weather Vane.
Mm-hmm. Which is it out already or is it coming out?
It's coming out. I'm in the final stages. I like to say final stages of the book, but much like the theme of Follow Your Weather Vane, sometimes in life things take different turns than we expect, and it wouldn't completely surprise me if this also was an example of that.
Yeah.
But it's going really, really well. I've been working on it since January with my coach out of LA, and she's a published writer, and she's been really encouraging. So I'm really excited about it.
Awesome. Writing is my favorite thing of all the things that I do. So I'm working on a book right now too, and it is such a process of being able to take all of those thoughts and put them into place in a usable way. So we love that. Okay, so I would love to know a little bit about your experience of going after getting funding and finding contributors and going through all of that and then having it not come to fruition, because that's one thing that really stood out to me with your story is there's always a risk that you take in business, and there's always this fear of, but what if it doesn't work out? And you've been through that and come out the other side. So what are the lessons that you learned from that?
Well, there's so many lessons, and that's one of the things I call myself a biz hacker, because I have all these like what a lot of people don't realize, and now they're getting to realize this because I'm sharing this. But I was unemployed and homeless for a lot of that campaign, and so I really had to be scrappy.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's a ton of lessons there as far as business wise. But what's more impactful were the lessons of how you deal with adversity and
Yeah.
all those doors getting shut in your face, the people that say it's not going to happen. The route I took several different routes. So initially, what had me even do it in the first place was I had an investor. So I had like this Dumbo's feather of like, this is going to happen. He said, come back, Sarah, 6 months. We're going to do this. I want in, which is what had me go all in. And then I went back 6 months later and he said, Sarah, it's not your fault. You did everything I asked. And my other business partner's been stealing from me.
Mm.
And so I'm like, okay, now what? And that had me borrow, like, get loans and a term sheet for loans. And I did a crowdfunding campaign. So that was a ton of fun, made a video, just so many adventures. And then lastly, I was inspired by the guy who started the Rainforest Cafe, which I'm here in Wisconsin, and the Rainforest Cafe was created in neighboring Minnesota. It's like a hometown tale. And he actually created the Rainforest Cafe in his house.
Hmm.
So he had them come into his house and he pitched to investors with like fog and parrots and all this crazy stuff. And so what I did is I approached the landlord of the space I wanted for my Wisconsin themed deli on Main Street. And he said, for a day, you can have the space. And I did like a pop-up of the deli, and I had an investor event. And of course, I invited Howard and I invited all the media. And by then I had an advisory team and I had volunteers, and we were serving grilled cheese and root beer floats, and so it was just going like like that. And it was just, I did so many different things. And as far as it not happening, Amy, what ended up happening wasn't that I didn't have the support. It was that life was happening in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So I just had like these traumatizing things, like a dog attack, a car accident. My roommate was a raging alcoholic and was in treatment. I mean, it was just like crazy stuff. And it took its toll on me. And there became a point where I started to borrow money from people for me personally, not for the business. And it was very uncomfortable. And also there was a turning point that I had to take care of myself.
Yeah.
So I reached out to my advisor team, and all 5 of them said, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what had me shelve the project.
Yeah. Well, and there's some things that I want to draw out in this story because there's some really good teaching points here, right? Like
Yeah.
the first thing is, how many of you are listening to her creativity at bringing other people on board to help support the idea, thinking, I do a little bit too much on my own, like, right? I love that you went out and you used really creative thinking to attract in supporters so that you could start off creating it in a way that was going to be more impactful. We're always so much stronger when we're collaborating together than when we're trying to do something on our own. So that's the first thing that I took away. The second thing that I really like about your story is that You guys, sometimes we put the reward in the result that we wanted. But if you're listening to Sarah, like I'm listening to Sarah right now, the reward for her is in what she learned and the journey and what she can do next because she had that experience. Sometimes you're looking for your reward to look a certain way, and it's showing you have the reward. It's just looking differently than you wanted it to. If she hadn't been through that experience, there would be no book coming out, right? Like she wouldn't be speaking to other entrepreneurs, and she wouldn't be training people. So all of the experiences that we have are for us to shape into something that is really usable. So I appreciate you coming on and sharing with us and giving us of your wisdom. When do you think the book is coming out? Like when should we be looking for
Well,
it?
I would say so by the end of the year is my hopes for it to be completed. And then I'm pitching it to publishers. And what's fun about this is I'm pitching it to comic book publishers.
Oh, that is fun.
So so more, graphic and design. Like I've got my blogs, my diary entries from that time, and the media, all of the newspaper articles. So and the good thing is that's a really great niche group to talk to. And depending on that will be when it's published. And I can always self-publish too, but I'm really interested in working with a team that can provide the creative aspect, because that's one of the reasons why WeatherVane Creamery got the Innovation Award from the American Cheese Society, was for the magic and the fun that it was. And I'm insistent that the book reflect and be a homage to the concept of WeatherVane Creamery.
Awesome. Well, we love it. We'll be on the lookout for it. How can our audience get connected with you if they want to learn more about you?
Well, in my other life as a marketing maven, I am very passionate about LinkedIn. So connect with me on LinkedIn. It's Sarah99 is that, and that's the best way to kind of keep on top of what's going on. And I can also supply different kinds of services, or you can learn about other things I do. This is one of my side projects, but I'd love to connect with people.
Awesome. Well, I will tell you, I can tell you've got a creative marketing strategy brain. And so I'm excited for people to get connected with you. We dropped the link in, and so you can go and get connected there. And Sarah, thank you so much for being on with us and for being a contributor to this awesome event.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right, in the chat, would you guys go ahead and show Sarah some love as we make our transition here?